Okay, what's going on? How's it going? Now, I want you to go to assignment 2A, okay? And one thing you're going to want to print at your house, either print it, have it on a computer screen, a multiplication table, kind of like this. If you don't have access to a printer, just go to a Google search, okay? And just type in multiplication table. Let's go 25 and just go 25, and then you'll see 25 by 25 printable, okay? And you want this one that's got the big yellow thing going down the line, okay? Now you'd want to copy paste that onto a document and then just print it so you can widen it, or just have it on your phone like that. It doesn't matter, okay? All right, so let's get into the assignment. We have to solve these equations. This isn't going to take you too terribly long, I don't think. This is something it's something we had went over a little bit in December, but you weren't very comfortable with it because you're old school, you hadn't done it. So I'm going to teach it more kind of in depth now. So what we have is quadratic equations, meaning there's two answers, okay? And here's what you're going to want to write. Today we're going to look at quadratic equations in the form of ax squared plus bx, okay? And it has to be equal to 0. And if it's not, you got to switch some. It's because the a and b are numbers. Like the a could be a 3, the b could be a 30. A, b are numbers. Okay, here's how you're going to do that. You're going to factor this, okay, using your Gcf Factoring, okay? And that's all you're going to have to do, because once you're here, you're going to put a parentheses here. That's F1, that's F2. I want you to write that kind of on a piece of paper somewhere. They're all in the form ax squared plus bx equals 0, and you're going to run then the GCF, okay? You're not going to use a quadratic formula on this, okay? I would have... So you have 2x to the second plus 8x equals 0. That's your first problem. So this has two answers, two solutions, because you have x to the second. That's what makes it a quadratic equation. And find your x squared, and whatever's in front of it's a. Find your x, whatever's in front of that is b. Okay? So it's ab, and you're equal to 0. So you can set up your box, and then we find the GCF. We're going to rewrite that expression. The equals 0 can just go outside the box. Okay, so 2 and 8. Okay, and I think I've told you how to use this to find the greatest common factor. So take your smaller number 2, see if the 8's also in that row. So it is, so you can use 2. Okay, so I put a 2 out here. And also, the last term has x, okay? So you also need to put an x with your 2. So go up and divide these both by 2x. And then what you can do is you can cancel the x's on the final line. Not on this line, because that's x second x, x. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then we have to divide x to the second by x, and it's always going to be the same thing. If I divide an x second by an x, then those cancel, but I still have the x left. So x second divided by x is always x. Don't leave it to the second. It goes down to x. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay. And now you've rewritten this in factored form. It's like you've done the opposite of the distributive property. So that's F1, that's F2, and then set them each equal to 0. So 2x equals 0, 1x plus 4 equals 0. We're just going to divide by 2 here, and 0 is one of the answers. Then I'm going to subtract 4, which is negative 4. You can divide by 1 if you want, or just get rid of it, negative 4. And that's your two solutions. Okay, the next one, 6x to the second minus 15x equals 0. So again, you have two answers. Then we have an a here and a b here. Okay, A, B. So there's going to be no C, okay? 0 doesn't count as a C. 0 doesn't count for anything, okay? So again, make sure you're at 0, which you are. So GCF. equals 0. Make the box, I guess. Put the equals 0 outside the box. Sorry, that looks crappy. Okay, 6 and 15. So I would find 6's row. There's no 15. Then I go up further. There's a 6 and there's a 15. So I would do 3 as my GCF. And x squared and x, I need to take an x out with the 3. Then I go up and divide, because it's like when I distribute, I multiply, so the opposite's going to be divide. Okay, so 6 divided by 3 is 2. X second divided by x is always x. Not to the second anymore, though. Minus 5. Okay, so I have F1, F2. So F1, 3x could equal 0, or 2x minus 5 could equal 0. So I'm going to divide by 3 here, and that's just 0. Then over here I add 5. So 2x equals 5. Then I divide by 2. And if it's a decimal, which 5 divided by 2 is, just leave it 5 over 2. Okay, don't worry about writing the decimal or trying to make it into a mixed number or anything like that. Okay. Okay, my next problem, we have 3x to the power of 2 minus 9x equals 0. So we're finding two answers. And again, we have an A and a B. That's important that you label those as we move forward in this unit. Okay, so make your table. So line parentheses equals 0. And that's all you have to do when it's A and B. Okay, 3 and 9, you got a 3, here's a 9, so the GCF's 3. You probably knew that before you started, but that's fine. X, then I go up and divide by 3x, cancel the x's on the last line, and then we get 1, and that's x minus 3. Okay, so I got F1, F2. So I set each one of those factors equal to 0. So either 3x can equal 0, or 1x minus 3 could equal 0. So here we just divide by 3 and I get 0. Here I add 3, and that's going to be 3. Cancel, you can get rid of the 1. So 0 and 3 are the two answers to that equation. Okay, next one, and this one's one little difference. Negative 16x second plus 80x equals 0. So there's two solutions. And I have an A and I have a B. So first, look up 16 and 80. So let's go in the 16th row and see if 80 is there, which it is. So I can do 16, okay? And you're also going to do x, because we got x on the B. Now, when the A is negative, you need to make your GCF negative. I haven't had to do that yet because the A has never been negative. But if the A is negative, then the GCF's negative. You want to make a note or something. So if A is negative, then GCF is negative. Okay. So I go up and divide by negative 16x. Cancel the x's there. So that's going to be 1 and then x, and then don't keep it x to the second. The x is out here, so that x there is now just regular x. 80 divided by negative 16 is minus 5, and then just put equals 0. Okay, so there's my F1, there's my F2. So negative 16x could equal 0, 1x minus 5 could equal 0. So here I'm going to divide by negative 16. Don't add 16, because between the 16 and the x, that's a multiplication operation. So that's 0. Then we add 5. 1x equals 5. I get 0 and 5. Okay, now the last three, okay, you got to fix something at the beginning. So far, you're probably okay, okay? Two answers. And we have an A, we have a B. But here's the problem. When you have A and B, you have to get this equal to 0, okay? Right now, you don't have 0 on this side, okay? So what you do is you subtract your 28x, cross it out, and I have 0. Now, the question is, where do we put it on the other side? Well, it can't go with the 14 because that's an A. An A and a B can't go together. So if there's no B over there on the other side, you just put minus 28x after that. I know that looks pretty sloppy, and go from there. So rewrite it. You now have your 0, and you have 14x to the power of 2 minus 28x. Okay? So when that b's over there, you're going to either add or subtract. If it would have been negative 28, I would have added it. But I can't add an a to a b. Okay, they're different terms. A has x to the second, b has x. And now I just do what I've been doing all along. Okay, GCF should take me to the two factors, which then take me to the two answers. So 14 and 28, here's 14 and 28's there, so 14's a GCF. So just put it there. X squared next, you'd put x and then go up and divide by 14x. All I'm doing this is trying to rewrite it into two parentheses. So that's 1x minus 2, and those cancel. And now I'm good to go. F1 is 14x, F2 is 1x minus 2. So I would divide by 14, that's 0, and I would add 2, which gives me 2. So 0 and 2. Okay, and that's going to be the case on the next one. So negative 24x to the second equals 9x. So I have two answers, so label your A and your B. That's your A, that's your B. But they got to come to one side together. See, I need to get rid of this 9x because, see, I need the 0 here, and I don't see a 0. So if I subtracted 9x, there would be a 0. But then I can't subtract 9x from the 24x from the A because that's a B. B and an A can't go together, so you just put minus 9x behind the A, and now you have your A and B on one side. So negative 24x to the second minus 9x equals 0. Okay, so go to still do your AB, and now you make your GCF. Okay, 9 and 24, so I'll look at 9, but 24 is not in that row, so now I go up. Where's the next place I have a 9? Right there in the third row is 24. Yep, 24 is there, so I go with 3. And I also need x, and if the A is negative, remember the GCF is negative. So when I go up here and divide, I divide by negative 3x. So negative 24 divided by negative 3 is positive 8, and then I would have just x on the 8, not x to the second. And then I divide that as negative 9 divided by negative 3. I know that's a minus, but we're going to put it with the 9 as a negative. So that's going to be plus 3. And now we're there, F1, F2. So negative 3x could equal 0, or 8x plus 3 could equal 0. So I'll divide by negative 3, and I get 0. Over here I'll subtract 3, and that's negative 3. So negative 3, just put negative 3 over 8. Okay. Okay, last one. Okay, I've got 8x to the power of 2 equals 4x. So there's two answers. So I know I've got an A. You have to have an A, okay? Because you're always going to have x squared. Then if it has x, it's a B. Okay, so A and B, you do your GCF, but you have to get this a 0 on this side first, okay? So if I wanted a 0, I'd subtract 4x. Now I have my 0. But there's no B over there to subtract from, so I put minus 4x. And now I have 8x to the second minus 4x equals 0. Now I'm set up for my GCF box. Okay, 8 and 4, take your 4, and 8's there, so I'd go with 4. X squared and x, I will not be making my 4 negative because the A isn't negative. Okay, so I divide by 4x. don't cancel the 4's, just see x's. Okay, a lot of people cancel the 4's and they don't have anything to put. Okay, so 8 divided by 4 is 2, and that's going to be x minus 1. Then I'm good to go. F1, F2. Okay, so 4x could equal 0, 2x minus 1 could equal 0. We'll just divide by our 4, it gives me 0. Here we'll add 1. Divide by 2, just put that as 1/2. Okay. Okay, now you got 8 to do. Now when you get down to problem number 5, that's when you start needing to get your 0. Okay, like that 6, that's an A, that's a B. The 6x has to go, so minus 6x. So it'd be 3x squared minus 6x equals 0. Number 6, 4x squared minus 10x equals 0. Number 7, negative 42x squared minus 14x equals 0. Now number 8, to get a negative 30x to 0, we'd plus 30x. So it'd be negative 12x squared plus 30x equals 0. Okay. And also remember, watch the negatives. If the A is negative, you need to make your GCF negative. Okay.